Wait, so what is it on citizenship?
One-off citizenship and then civil remedy.
So it's the whole new page.
Or you can put it on the first contention.
Okay.
It's like case arguments, but they're about the civil remedy.
Gotcha.
All right, ready?
Nope.
Nope.
Now I am.
First off is the counterclaim. The United States Congress should reauthorize Section 1399 of the Commerce Clause with the justification that gender violence has a substantial effect on interstate commerce. If the United States Supreme Court strikes down Section 1391, the United States Congress should reauthorize Section 1391 and explicitly revoke all federal court jurisdiction over constitutional challenges to congressional legislation under the Commerce Clause. And Morrison is a drop in the bucket, only challenging the jurisprudence of the court can and judicial supremacy. Kramer 1. Just to begin referring off-handedly to jurisprudence, we need to worry about how much further the court intends to go. What is being speculated, the possibility of scaling back the spending clause legislative approach cannot be far behind the court plans and tighten up ends being scrutinized outside the Commerce Clause in Section 5. The cumulative effects of such change being nothing left to devastating all seem plausible, and the constructive litigation machine is gearing up. We should put a stop to it before it is too late, and Congress needs to start fighting a conflict that's necessary to stop judicial supremacy. Deference 1. The ruling is byproduct legislative indifference to judicial supremacy encourages the court to see itself as supreme and place more and more concerns in Congress. Legislative indifference creates more and more occasions in which Congress will run afoul of these ever-increasing concerns. Congress fails to challenge the court. The court is apt to grow less and less tolerant of such congressional lapses and create even more constitutionally constraining doctrine in this constitutional crisis, and court reprimand is vital for large public participation, altering the doctrine of judicial supremacy. Kramer 4. We may choose to surrender to the courts of control. The Supreme Court will must fill the legislative and Constitution. This means public repeating injustice. The Supreme Court is our servant and not our master. Yield to our judgments. We cannot do this unless we're going to keep the justice in line. The means are available. They've been used to great effect when necessary. We can and should punish an overreaching court. Vulnerable court we expect justice to be given inside public arrest through other branches would hit justice attitude and self-conception. The likelihood of being overturned, the authority may be sold to sense responsibility. Thus engender would inevitably change the dynamics of decision-making crisis. Court an overconfident court claim to be supreme, paging to little minds of the public view, and Congress needs to challenge the court to regain supremacy. Demonstrating Congress thinks the court can actual question the courts to make Congress treat the court decision as independently court covering periods the Congress hardly ever cast doubt in correctness courts which are willing to more fundamentally court partners with the Constitution. It's little wonder the Supreme Court Justice feel empowered Congress encouraged the court to strike down measures the justice say like they know the legislative backlash has now followed rulings limiting courts for how there's no talk responsible to rule from revisit its integrated legislative pay close attention to the court rulings limiting their effect revisions the court is likely to remove, and judicial supremacy will result in the end of democracy and public deliberation, nor have as six the judicial action end up in the federal government by justice have nothing left the usurpation policy of the American tradition alters the notion of rules and rules subject of course at the end of democracy. The U.S. is for so long bear the democratic deals betrayed the achieve evidence of betrayal judicial usurpation of politics not found in the judiciary deliberates and answers the important question again and again questions of public political or legalized and speciously constitutionalizes an urgent call for the repoliticization of the American regime with long-term reviews the usurpation pursuing the same avenue to convince the desire to reduce them on absolute despotism as their duty to rob such government the U.S. no longer government the government of the judiciary who yet to overlay the courts cannot restrain themselves. We are witnessing the end of democracy and checking judicial supremacy and ensuring public involvement is necessary for planetary survival of the American Cap 87. Decades of accomplishment have encouraged Americans to accept this democracy. The Supreme Court has made decisions that advance rights. The Supreme Court can and again make precisely the opposite kind of decision. We do not have a stable economic system. We do not have the capacity to make the choices to ensure a strong, successful American political system. Neither responsible nor accountable, like solid grounding of the body of people who have not addressed the great issues of nuclear war, planetary survival, economic quality, like a certain link between the people's health needs and their policymakers. Those right up our crisis and deliberately reversing Hamilton's strategy. We must seek to re-engage the people in their government. And Morrison is not a standalone decision as part of a larger doctrine of judicial supremacy and disdain for gender concerns resting too. Why was it possible for the majority ruling Morrison to influence the interaction between Congress, courts? Congress identified the federal courts of the nation on which to place civil rights. Judges became to develop their own conception of what case ought to be committed to their courts and tell Congress not to censor in case their way time and again. Federal judiciary marshaled the resources to oppose congressional efforts to create new federal rights aimed at safeguarding women. They stifled efforts to innovate and confer whites and women's challenge hierarchies. They produced a solid wall of opposition to legislation requiring federal court enforcement of interstate family obligations. The view gained constitutional stature in Morrison and congressional superiority is necessary to alter societal gender norms. West 94. The reason for congressional rather than judicial response to rape is to emphasize the fact that Congress may be more willing than judiciary to view rape as conditions subordinating women thereby denying women's rights. Congress may be more open to these arguments. Institutional and theoretical reasons unlike the core Congress had obligation for the legislation rationally map out distinction. Congress stopped its mental and restructured the social, private, even intimate structure that collectively created massive hierarchies of daily life. Citizenship. 1. The civil remedy equates citizenship with the public perpetuating gender discrimination, phrasing and freedom of vow, until the motive collective violence, and structurally generated violence. This way transferring motive bias on the public acts and decision of observed civil rights remedy, acts that are private, defensible of the public, and amounting to natural hostage discrimination, violence, when gender psychologically unsophisticated, narrative violence while working against women that civil rights statute have been locked by its unresponsive to gender motivated violence. 2. This equates citizenship to economic contributions, making citizenship meaningless. Nurse 2. Ideas of solidarity that have underpinned citizenship proceeded in contractual discourse come to find the resident of citizenship increasingly find in economic terms. They are directly proportional and dependent on one economic contribution. The quality of one should become related to the great intense fun complain that gender cause of this discourse significantly constitutes the citizen black woman who come to serve as a paradigm example of undeserved this role of consumer and earners increasingly come to find citizenship the freedom becomes nearly fine as increased choice without any attempt to access the conditions that make choices meaningful. 3. Citizenship, even when radical, enhances conservative governance. Vincent 6. While stuck after role for return back to political agency, we would consider how profoundly successful conservative change of power been at dismantling notions like citizenship, Republican vertical feel, how appropriate the value of leftist discourse to become. Giroux feel confident in rallying the leftist distributing around rights of the public sphere should register cautious consideration conservative media spin machine of hijack precisely these bourgeois badges which is where democracy chose nostalgia for the emancipatory moment might be impeding a deeper recognition of how thoroughly contained and outside the powers become an epoch constrained by battlefield saturation such resistance forces those become championed by Bush and the military as institutes of the state's reflexivity. This repressive tolerance enables opposition only in order to moderate it. For the citizenship approach requires denial of personhood and practical application, even if not to be applied universally. Bosniak 2. The equal citizenship principle is understood to mean the extension of core rights to the undocumented, yet the threat of actual deportation works to undercut equal citizenship. Immigrants often willing to invoke rights they are formally entitled for a period coming to the attention. The result of false citizenship requires rights for everyone, also demands the exclusion of territorial present non-nationals. The effect that includes the force the principle of equal citizenship is compromised. Idea of citizenship presupposes a boundary national community, characterized by exclusionary commitments that will inevitably clash with the pure constitutional rights approach. 5. Citizenship is intimately connected to racial nationalism, expanding the imperialism of little democracy. Dali 99. Bellaware labels the determined coalition. Oh, okay. Civil rights. One, they can't solve other causes of gender discrimination. Women will continue to be paid less and be underrepresented in decision making. It's naive to think that changing one decision will eradicate gender discrimination. There evidence proves it's endemic to court decisions and is a structural feature of society. 2, the CRR undermines state enforcement, preventing broader investigation of gender violence. Shapley and Jaffe 99 state laws offer more sophisticated protective response to domestic violence than improve one size fits all federal remedy. State remedies promote competency-filled investigation of domestic violence. The broader circumstances 139 discourages state enforcement investigator process. 139 undermines a multi-factor consideration essential identifying wrongdoing, ignoring the overall context of violence. It creates a federal alternative that would trade off with state remedy regardless of whether statute or state law intact. 3, state tort remedies solve the case without an animus requirement. Rossman and Bader and Nenda practice state criminal justice system from civil lawsuit does not remedy the state's provided civil remedies does not require gender remedies for the victim controls the process. State rules for critics apply even when federal rights are at issue. The problem standardized federal court and how to find the same phenomenon. Rape sentences are shorter in federal courts. 4, the civil remedy reinforces the myth that the crazed rape is justifying sexual violence, while ultimately one vow of civil action reinforces the myth that crazed rape is a crazed rape situation to all rape. The disconnect between the law's application the myth encourages courts to distinguish the paradigm rape from the normal men who may be guilty for rape but cannot fit the paradigm image. The criteria for substance assessment reflects stereotypical or false assumptions about rape. The image of the crazed rape is undermined public recognition that equates rape with rape. 5, the stereotype silences violence against women, makes all levels of state violence more possible. That our understanding about that which occurs to people who do not have an intimate relationship is only referred to as violence when it is perceived as illegitimate. This allows violence in societies deepen, of which normal individuals are incapable of violence is excused by the characteristics of the victim who view the police as institutionally legitimate. The most public of state violence, war and conflict is rationalized, legitimate, international violence against women are silent. 6, the turns outweigh the case. Legal stereotypes or what enables sexual violence. Courage 94 approaches the rape is committed to protecting women's victims without agency efforts to stop rape and create identities of rapists that pre-exist the rape and construct women as sexually vulnerable objects. Murphy's Arcus rape scripts suggest that social structures inscribed in men's and women's cells inequalities which enable rape to occur. Rape itself continuous scripts these inequalities new. These scripts stand in the way of efforts to envision innovative strategies of combating rape strategies that recognize women's agency and assumption that rape experience are identical as the means of scripts of rape are reinscribed and depict women as always already victims. 7, the civil remedies a symbolism provides comfort for academia while exacerbating the plight of the abused. Reagan 99, 6 years after the abused women are not better off because the law argument CRR law greater the powers of right here and the law will have just the opposite effect as it becomes clearer. As well as image of the place we had made wasted time and effort increases cynicism of the ability of the law to make a difference. The argument for CRR is something must be done. This is something therefore this may be done. Times when a CRR is proving a very bad investment system to give abused woman a chance to get what she needs. CRR is psychotherapy not for abused women, for people studying the problem and make students feel better. 8, the civil remedies force requirement continues. Archaic consensus of rape phrasing 93, the will not physical force dictates sexual assault definition for the bad non-consensual sex may not be sufficient shows a crime of violence assistance and force embodies archaic stereotypes of sexual violence and disbanded victims. They seek judicial remedies. The undermining of sexual violence excludes the majority of rapes. Only 4% of victims have reported serious injuries. 9 is the civil remedy creates hierarchies of violence, legitimizing private gender violence. Bill Meyer 5, the civil remedy is complicated with necessity to show gender animus creates hierarchies. Rape is some seen as worse than others deserving redress. Other rape, like sufficiently corrupt gender violence, the courts give more religion to rapes on public setting. That will be interpreted in a non-uniform fashion or reflect the bias of individual court decision and transmits about rape and gender status. 10, the civil remedy ignores the vast majority of gender violence. Bachelor and 96, freedom of violence against women, plus domestic violence are not covered by the remedy. Provide little redress to the vast majority of victims. Neither is there any evidence significant enough for women are not being compensated under state statutes. 11, the civil remedy relies on a system of white privilege excluding women of color. More than 6, for the civil protections, one must be a victim in order to get help. If the identity was not white, vow might not exist. The law take domestic violence seriously. It has to happen to white women. 12, the civil remedy does not deter the OD2K civil court of ballot isn't a panacea. Law court decision change attributes. The fact that woman was given the right to sue is of little preventative value. 13, attention to gender violence in the courts undermines other reform efforts. Weissman, 1, increased attention to domestic violence results in unfounded assumption about progress of the courts produced denial of serious problems business making needed reform more difficult. 14, okay.
I'm okay. What was that last argument?
It was just, what? It was just that attention to the courts undermines other reform efforts because we focus on changing this one particular court manifestation of gender violence.
Okay, let's talk about your Devens evidence. This evidence indicates that the recent state of anti-congressional rankers court's ruling is part of a larger legislative indifference. The plan defers to Congress and says, you know what, You have
Right.
the power to be able to interpret
Yeah, but
and
it's the
pass
court that
legislation.
says, the court still says that the court is the one who has the power to determine whether Congress has power in particular circumstances.
No, they say
the
that
plan
this
maintains
is,
court
the plan
supremacy
defers
by
to
saying
Congress's ability.
Our Kramer
Yes.
evidence is quite good.
the Kramer evidence, it draws a distinction between the counterplan, which starts a fight and has Congress assert its authority over the courts, and the plan, which, yes, in this particular instance says the Congress does have the power to do the civil remedy, but it's always the courts who determine that power rather than having Congress assert it for itself, which is vital for revitalizing democracy.
I'm interested. What is it then in your Kramer evidence that makes the distinction? Like, what is the impact to having the court start or the Congress start the fight?
It says it means publicly repudiating
Well, I understand
justices.
what the link is.
Well,
I just want to
It
know the
means that
impact.
insisting that the Supreme Court is our servant, not our master, which only the counterplan does, who is to yield to our judgments, congressional judgments.
Why doesn't
We
the-
cannot do this unless we are willing to keep justices in line. The means have been used to great effect and necessary. We
The
can't-
card you want to talk about as the first piece of Kramer evidence is the conservative litigation machine is gearing up that the Morrison decision means little in the grass scheme
Okay,
of things.
then why
Even if you
wouldn't the
change
plan
Congress,
solve
it says
that
they're
as
going to
well?
roll. Because you don't roll change the way that the courts will start charging things on 14.5 congressional spending power and the number of
Yes, this evidence cites other
anti-discrimination.
things like the
But
spending
does your
clause.
counterplan
Yes.
stop?
Yep.
Yes, because it indicates the counterplan would establish a fight where the Congress would assert its supremacy,
Okay.
which would spill over to other areas like the spending clause and Section 5.
Then why doesn't, like, what are the net benefits to the counterplan? Is it just this
It
democracy?
solves gender better and democracy.
Okay, why doesn't the permutation then, if we revoke all other Commerce Clause powers, solve all
What do you mean,
these
if you
future
revoke all other Commerce Clause
permutation,
powers?
have Congress revoke all of the Commerce Clause
That
powers
would not be
except
competitive because the counterplan only revokes Commerce Clause powers if the court strikes down Section 13981. The plan says that the court does not strike
Revoke
down
all
Section
federal court
13981.
jurisprudence over
Yes.
constitutional
Read
challenge
the
of
part that
Congress
goes
and
before that. It
legislation.
starts with the word if. Also, if you have the Supreme Court being the one that you fiat and who is able to grant Congress power rather than Congress asserting it for itself, the involvement of the Supreme Court via the plan means that any permutation will not be an effective fight.
Think how bad of a fight that would be if the court overruled itself on Morrison's, like, had this Commerce Clause ground, and then the court, and then in response to Congress was like, screw you, we're revoking all your appellate jurisdiction.
Well-
The likelihood that the public would back up the Congress is not existent. and it
Our
would be
app is
awful.
all about the idea of exception when it comes to how the court deals with women.
Yeah.
Why isn't the counterplan just another exception?
The
that has
counterplan
been
is not an
created?
exception. The counterplan
Like,
is
can
the
you name
amorphic way
another,
in changing
another
court
Commerce
jurisprudence.
Clause jurisprudence that has ever been decided by the court, by the Congress revoking power of the court?
Well, the evidence talks about other things like Section 5 where the court has definitely stripped